Newport, Oregon. Their motto is the friendliest. But are they friendly there? Yeah, they are. But what's it like to live there? What are the pros and cons? Not a ton of cons. There are a few though, definitely more pros than cons. Real quick, I'll cover all those right now. Seth Marchant with the Home Team Brokers here, coming to you from beautiful Newport, Oregon. If you're new to this channel, living on the Oregon coast, we show you what it's like to eat, sleep, play, work, and in this case, the pros and cons of Newport, Oregon. So hit the subscribe button, tap the bell, make sure you get notified each time we drop a new video, which is about every week or so. We get people reaching out to us all the time that want to move along the Oregon coast, and we always love to hear from you. So if you're one of those people, give us a call, send us a text, or shoot us an email. You can even click the link below in the description if you want to schedule a Zoom with us. No matter how you get in touch with us, we've got your back when it comes to moving along the Oregon coast. All right, pros and cons. We're going to start with the pros first. So first thing that really jumps out to me, especially as a realtor, about Newport, Oregon, is their real estate market is a little bit unique. It's definitely different than some surrounding towns, and it's different than the rest of the state. So what makes it a little bit unique? Well, it's a little bit of a buyer's market right now, which, as you probably know, even if you don't follow real estate, you've probably seen things in the news and how crazy the real estate market is. And simply put, there's a shortage of housing. There's more buyers than there are sellers right now. So that's driving up the demand, which drives up the prices. That's not the case in Newport. The median time on market right now in Newport is 68 days. Statewide average, a lot of stuff around the state of Oregon is closer to 30 days. That's true for a lot of the rest of the country. So 68 days kind of makes it more of a buyer's market, and there's also a decent amount of inventory as well. A lot of places you'll go along the Oregon coast, when you're looking within your budget, you might only find 1, 2, 3 houses that really kind of fit your wants and your needs and fit within your budget. With Newport, there's quite a few houses on the market at all price points. So the great thing is you're going to have some better selection if you're moving to Newport. You might not have to compete with multiple offers. Again, median time on market 68 days. That means that homes aren't getting offers right away. So if you can find a house that just got listed and submit an offer, decent chance you're not going to have to compete with other offers. You're not going to have to offer above asking, which is what we see in a lot of places throughout the state and throughout the country. But here's the kicker. It's really not too bad for sellers either. 68 days is not bad. There's been times in the past, if you go back 50 years, average time on market was 166 days. So 68 days for a home seller, a couple of months, is really not bad at all. 30 days is really lightning fast. So it's really not a bad market for sellers. And something else that really makes this unique is the home value appreciation index went up almost 30% last year in Newport. Now, if we contrast that to, say, the major city in the state of Oregon, which is Portland. Portland was about 13%. A lot of suburbs surrounding Portland and the Portland metropolitan area were closer to 20%. 30% is very high. So if you got a $300,000 house, a year later it's worth close to $400,000. So for sellers, if you're selling, even though your time on market is a couple months instead of a month, and there's more homes out there, so there's more choices for the buyers, so there's a little bit more competition for you. You can still know that you're probably going to be able to sell your house fairly quickly and for a pretty good profit, regardless of when you bought it for in the past. So it's kind of a good market for sellers as well as buyers. You don't typically see that type of appreciation in other places where it's a buyer's market. When it's typically a buyer's market and there's way more buyers than there are sellers and homes are sitting on the market for a while, you don't see double-digit appreciation. Homes might go up in value 3, 4, 5% in a market, or something like that. Not 30% though. So this housing market in Newport is really kind of a win-win for both buyers and sellers. So if you're thinking about moving to Newport, that's going to be probably one of your biggest pros to picking Newport and choosing Newport over maybe some of the surrounding cities on the Oregon coast. And again, that's part of what we're here for at the Home Team Brokers, is to help you find that perfect home. All right, so next thing on the list, cost of living. This sort of piggybacks onto the housing market, because of course your housing is going to be part of your cost of living. Now, if you look at these numbers here, pretty much everything is going to be lower than the statewide average as well as the national average, with the exception of the housing. If you're coming from bordering states, Washington or Idaho, housing prices probably not going to be too much different regardless of where you're coming from. California, of course, your housing is going to be a lot less. Other than that, it will really depend on where you're coming from. If you're coming from the Midwest, housing is probably going to be a little bit more for you in Newport, Oregon. If you're coming from like a coastal state, housing is probably going to be a little bit less for you. So all in all, your cost of living in Newport is going to be lower compared to the state of Oregon, as well as compared to nationally, for the most part, again with the exception of housing. And you'll see those utilities too. Utilities are way down there. Sometimes you move to a place and you get a shock when you see like the electric bill or something like that. So it's always nice to have your utilities down there. So probably regardless of where you're coming from, most of your bills are going to be less in Newport. Housing might be a little bit more, it might not be, but all in all, the cost of living is definitely going to check the pros box. Next on the list for pros is amenities and things to do. There's really just no shortage of things to do. The amenities are great. Things to do, the Newport Aquarium is probably one of the bigger attractions, maybe the biggest attraction, formerly the home of Keiko from the movie Free Willy. Not there anymore, but was there for a long time. You've got great restaurants, great food. You have farmers markets there. You've got events that revolve around food, such as Wine and Seafood Fest. That's every year towards the end of February. You can see this video right here. This video was actually taken before COVID, so that's why you don't see the masks. It's kind of weird to see so many people crammed together without masks in this day and age, but yeah, that's the reason why nobody's wearing a mask. And if you can hear, what you're hearing is throughout that festival, which I usually go to every year, there's a point where they play Sweet Caroline. Everybody kind of stops what they're doing and sings along to it. It's kind of a fun little thing. That's a great event to attend, by the way, whether you're a local or a tourist. People come from all across the state to attend that, and it's always been great when I've gone, and everybody, the people there are great, the vendors are great, the food and wine is excellent. So that's a great thing to check out as well, a great amenity. And you've got a Walmart, a Fred Meyer. If you're new to the Pacific Northwest, Fred Meyer is very similar to a Walmart, kind of one of those stores that has everything. And then you've got most of, or a lot of your big chain fast foods, coffee shops. So as far as like the food and shopping goes, Newport is one of the best places along the Oregon coast. You've also got a beautiful lighthouse, you've got whale watching, bird watching, seal watching, sea lion watching, lots of great parks. You've got a state park, great beaches, lots of sandy beaches that are close by. You've got Devil's Punch Bowl, which is one of the top kind of attractions along the Oregon coast. Gets its name from that rock formation. It looks like a big bowl that you can see there. It's described as a dramatic beach with tide pools. So lots of tide pools all up and down the coast for you to check out there. And then you've got a little downtown. As you can kind of see on the map there, the 101 kind of goes straight through town. You've got there's a little strip just kind of on the northern bay, which is where your kind of downtown is. You've got a lot of little shops that are really catered towards tourists. That's also where a lot of the restaurants are as well. So that's where you kind of see some of a little bit more of the touristy traffic. You've also got a sea lion dock that attracts a lot of the tourists down there. But all in all, it's a good little downtown for tourists and locals alike. You've got a small airport nearby. Small as in, you're talking like Cessnas and some small jets, so no big planes. So probably won't be using that. Probably not. That's not going to be a cheap flight, but there is an airport nearby. You've got fishing and crabbing. You can charter a fishing boat. There's lots of companies that will charter a fishing trip for you. So fishing and crabbing is huge there. They actually, if you watch Deadliest Catch, you probably know this, but they filmed a season of Deadliest Catch in Newport. It was called Dungeons Cove in Newport. Rogue Brewery is also a big attraction. It's a great spot, great beer. You can tour the brewery as well as they have food, so you can grab a bite, grab a drink, sit by the window, check out all the stuff on the bay. So that's always a great place to go to get a craft beer. You've got a large hospital nearby. Not all coastal towns in Oregon, or not even the bigger ones, necessarily have a large hospital. You kind of find like smaller clinics up and down the coast. So you've got a big hospital nearby. I've heard of Newport being referred to as the capital of the coast, and maybe that's why, because they have such great amenities. They kind of have something for everyone. So it is a really popular place. The locals like living there, and again, there's a lot of tourism, and there's a lot of reasons for the tourists to stop by as well. And then their motto is the friendliest. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the people there are friendly. Definitely nice to be in a place where everybody's friendly. All right, so now how about for some of the cons? Not a ton of cons. Some are maybe kind of a stretch. We'll start first with crime. Some people have crime. If you look up online blogs or whatever people are saying about Newport, usually crime I think is more of a pro, so it's kind of a stretch to put this as a con. If you look at violent crime, you can see it's lower in Newport than the state of Oregon. Property crime is higher though. It's a little bit higher than the rest of the state of Oregon. Probably because some Oregon coastal, a lot of the Oregon coastal towns struggle a little bit with drugs, stuff like meth, I think, which tends to lead to more crime like theft or burglary or property crime. So not violent crime, and again, just barely over what the average is for the rest of the state of Oregon. So that's maybe a little bit of a stretch for a con, but again, I don't have too many cons. On to the next one, the weather. So the weather, they get about 170 days of rain per year, which is quite a bit. The overall temperature is pretty mild, so it doesn't get too cold, doesn't get too hot, a lot like the rest of the Oregon coast. They do get a lot of rain, and they do get a lot of wind, a lot of fog, kind of like you do in a lot of bay areas. It's not that like, that big rain, that big stinging rain. It's more like the misty, foggy type of rain. So you'll have to be used to a little bit more rain, a little bit more overcast. If you want more sun, you're gonna have to keep going further south towards Brookings, towards the southern Oregon border. And they do get some pretty nasty storms. That part of the coast does tend to get hammered quite a bit with wind and precipitation. So the weather can be a little bit brutal, especially in the winters, but the summers are very nice. Next con on the list, employment. Employment can be a little bit seasonal, especially in a place that does rely on a lot of tourism, and especially these days when people are struggling to find employees. I was looking through most of the businesses, just doing some Google searches, you see a lot of stuff that's temporarily closed. Now you see that in some of the bigger towns too throughout the state of Oregon, due to employers not being able to find employees to fill spots. But towns like this that are more seasonal usually tend to get hit a little bit harder. So employment might be a little bit tough if you don't have something very specific in mind when you're coming to Newport. And then for some people, kind of piggybacking off of this, again, this is more of a touristy town. When you live in a town that gets a lot of tourists, sometimes that can be irritating. So that could be a con for some people. Some people it's going to be a pro. If you're one of those business owners that sort of relies on tourism, of course, you want those tourists to come through. But sometimes it can get kind of touristy, kind of congested. And for some people that's a con. So all in all, what we've got for our cons, a little bit of property crime, the weather, they do get hammered a little bit more with the weather on that part of the Oregon coast. Employment could be tough, maybe not. Maybe if you're looking for something particular, you're just gonna want to make sure you know what it is that you're looking for if you wanna make sure and get the type of employment that you want, with the income that you want. You're gonna wanna figure that out ahead of time. And like I said, it can be a little bit touristy, which, some people, seeing all the tourists and the congestion, sometimes that might bother some people. Some people maybe not so much. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in Newport or really anywhere in the state of Oregon, that's part of what the Home Team Brokers is here for, to help you find that perfect place. Give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or like I've said, you can click the link below in the description if you want to set a Zoom. That's what most people do that are coming from out of town. We usually start with a Zoom, but however you want to get in touch with us, we've got your back when it comes to moving to the Oregon coast. All right, take care, everyone.